Future Dana here. We are trying to reach 5,000 subscribers, and when we do, in order to celebrate that milestone for our channel, we are going to do a question and answer video. So if you have a question that you would like answered, list it in the comments below and check back when we reach 5,000 subscribers for that Q&A video. Hi, Dana here. Welcome to Sew Learn Create. I'm so glad you joined us today. And be sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Today's project is a fun one, and it's a key fob holder. So it's a holder for your keys. They pop out the bottom, so you can draw them out, throw them in your backpack, your purse, or briefcase. And if you like this type of project, be sure you check out our Sew Learn Create projects playlist for other great ideas. So let's get started. For today's project, the key fob holder, you're going to need the following supplies. You're going to need some type of vinyl or faux leather type fabric. I get mine at Dollar Tree. It comes in a box, and it is more than enough to make several of these. You can also buy it by the roll. Most of the time you have to order it online to buy it by the roll. You're going to need a key ring, just a circular key ring, 16 inches of some type of small cording. And you can get the cording in packages in your local sewing supply store. You're going to need some wax paper. And the wax paper is for when you're stitching your vinyl or your faux leather. Sometimes it'll stick to the bed of your machine, and I'll show you that a little bit later. And you don't need a lot of wax paper, just big enough square to fit underneath your project. Then you'll also need a piece of paper. You'll need a bead or some type of thing to put at the top so that when you pull your keys out to use them, they don't come through this top opening. And I just used a wooden bead. You'll need a piece of paper that is 4 inches across by 5 inches down. And so once you cut that, then you're going to fold it in half, and we're going to create this rounded shape here. So fold it in half, and you're going to measure across 1/2 inch at the top, 2.5 inches from the bottom, from this bottom edge up 2.5 inches. You're going to make a mark at both of those places. And then just softly curve that. Once you've connected those two lines that you've drawn with this soft curve, then you're going to cut your pattern out. Cut on that curved line. And then this creates your pattern. And it comes out a little squared off right here. So if you want that just a little more rounded, then fold it back and then just kind of gently curve it a little more, and then it creates more of a rounded edge right there. Then what you want to do is you want to take your bead that you've chosen, and you want to make sure, lay it up here at the top, and then kind of go in about 1/4 inch on each side, and make sure that that opening before you stitch it is going to be not too wide for the bead that you've chosen. So just double check that, and if it is, you can take a little bit wider seam at the top if you want to, or you can choose a different bead to use at the top. So I've cut out my 2 pieces of fabric, and faux leather or vinyl has a solid side on the front, and then it usually has some kind of a weaving fabric on the back. And that makes it easy to sew, and it also doesn't fray on the edges, so there's no need to hide your seams or anything like that. So basically you're going to take your 2 pieces of vinyl that you've cut to your shape, and you're going to clip those together. And when we go to the machine, we're going to start at the bottom, and we're going to stitch up from one side to the top, and then go from the other bottom up to the top, so that we have an opening here and this whole bottom is open. So let's go to the machine. Now we're at the machine and we're going to stitch down both sides of our key fob holder. And the wax paper is so when you are stitching, sometimes the vinyl will grip this metal plate and will not move easily. So the wax paper helps it move across the bed of the machine. So we're going to start here at the top on this side because we're going to use the inside edge of our foot as our seam guide. And that'll keep it a nice narrow seam on this key fob holder. So I'm going to start with my needle down using the inside edge of my foot as a guide, and I'm going to stitch a little and then back stitch. Back stitch, that'll help tie off those ends. And then we're going to keep going. And we're just going to go slow, keeping that edge of that foot inside this curve as best we can. If you go slow, then you can just gently curve it all the way around. And then when we get to the bottom, we're going to back stitch again. And that side is done. And see, it's a nice narrow seam right here. Now to create the inside edge of the foot on this side, we have to start at the bottom. So we're going to start right here at the bottom, lining up, put our needle down, stitch and then back stitch. And then again, just going slowly around that curve. And then at the top, back stitch again, just to tie it off well. Then we'll go back to the mat and I'll show you the next step. Now we've stitched down both sides and we've left, remember, this opening at the top and the bottom is open. And to get your wax paper off, I like to turn it over and I like to just kind of put my finger on that stitch line and pull. And it will just come right off. Do both sides. And do it gently so that you don't rip your stitching. And as you can see, my bobbin kind of messed up here at the beginning, and I'm just going to clip those threads and clean them up in a little bit. But if you want to take them out and redo it, you just need to remember that the stitching does leave holes in your vinyl. So you just probably want to just clean up your stitching a little bit with scissors. So now that we've done that, the other thing I want to check is I want to make sure that my stitching up here at the top and bottom has caught. And if it hasn't, then you want to take your strings and you want to just tie them off with a knot. And you'll know if they've caught when you just gently pull them. If you're pulling from the bottom, if the top thread kind of pulls towards the back, then you need to tie them off. And I like to tie them off with just a double knot. And then you just clip your threads. I think most of my other ones have caught because I back stitched, and some of that just depends on the machine and how it catches. Some machines do real well when you back stitch, others still have a little bit of trouble. I'm going to clip my threads, and then to clean this up, I'm just going to gently go through and just clip those one at a time to clean them up a little bit. All right. Then the next part is we need to put our key ring in and on our cording. So you want to put your cording through the top, which is a little bit tricky. Open it up, put it through the top, and grab it when it comes down through the middle. Then I'm going to put my key ring through that and put it back up through the top again. Then that makes my key ring attached and in the middle part of my key fob holder. So just kind of feed it back up through the top. You might have to use a pencil or something to kind of poke it back up at the top. This is the trickiest part of the whole project. I'm going to use a pin to get a safety pin to get my second string back up through the top, because I was struggling to get it up, and that gives me kind of a needle to push it through that hole. We're going to see if that works better. I can kind of feel it in there, and there it is. And you just need a small safety pin. So now my key ring is on the inside with a loop with the cording. And I just want to make sure that my cording, when I pull it all the way, my ends are even. Then you put your cording through your bead. And your cording is typically a little stiff, and if you kind of twist it, it kind of will push it through the middle of that bead where you can grab it. You want to make sure that both ends come out. And then again, before I tie anything, I just want to make sure that those ends, when I pull my ring, that my ends are nice and even. Then you're going to tie a knot at the top. And you want it pretty close to the top. You don't want too long of a tail here at the top. So just kind of adjust. And you want your tail, maybe 1/2 inch is fine. You can always trim it a little bit. Then pull your bead all the way to the top, and you're going to tie a knot below your bead. And you just kind of gently pull that up to where it's right there at the top. So your bead is in between your two knots. And if I don't like that long, then I can always clip it. And now, when you pull your key ring, the bead holds it so it doesn't go any further. And you can attach your key fob. There we go. And then when you pull, the key fob goes up inside the holder. And these are great for these big key fobs because you have buttons. And so when you put them in your purse or your backpack or briefcase, then the buttons are less likely to get pushed inside. And your project is complete. I hope you liked today's project, the Key Fob Holder. See you in the next one.